Dana Plato was TV's first bad girl.
Dana was a ball of energy.
It's an effervescence that I've never seen before.
If she couldn't get attention as a star, then she unconsciously sought attention for negative things.
She was smoking crack cocaine and on pills.
She went from different strokes to soft porn.
When Dana robbed the video store, I just believed there was a cry for help.
The end was definitely the roughest.
Dana Plato, at the height of her career, never thought that she would become Dana Plato.
Perhaps someone should have paid attention to what happened to Dana Plato.
Just wanted to know how it felt to be in court today.
I'm sorry, no.
Dana Plato was TV's first bad girl. And it is a cautionary tale for young Hollywood today, who thinks that they can get away with anything and always will be able to.
There are so many current starlets who would do well by studying the trajectory of Dana Plato's life, because they are at the beginning of the end, just as Dana Plato was.
And all they have to do is look at Dana Plato's steep decline into pornography and drugs and eventually suicide to say, whoa, maybe I better pay attention to what happened to this really adorable young girl.
Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, Nicole Richie, Anna Nicole. And nobody thinks that it'll happen to them. You know, they're so caught up in the glamour of it all or the drama of it all that they can't even look to learn from these lessons.
Perhaps if they had, there wouldn't have been scenes like this.
Nicole Richie's DUI, driving the wrong way on the highway.
Nicole Richie is headed to jail. Could Lindsay Lohan be next?
It turns out virtually everything about Dana Plato's life could have taught us something about fame.
If she couldn't get attention as a star, the way she did when she was a child star, then she unconsciously sought attention for negative things, for all the different problems that she got herself into.
To watch people talk about you, ridicule you, and insult you when they have no idea who you are, it's bad.
A major problem with child stars is that they are surrounded by enablers, starting with their own family, who are exploiting them for fame or for money or for glamour.
Seeing the pressures of Dana's life, we might have seen the slide into addiction.
Dana's drugs were cocaine, pot, a lot of pot.
She was smoking crack cocaine and on pills.
And it got a real hold on her. When she could afford cocaine, then after cocaine, it went down to crack. So that was really the ruination of her.
And through it all, we'd have learned about the frantic search of so many stars for love.
It's very hard if you're a parent dependent upon the income of your child, because the child realizes that they're the breadwinner and they no longer feel loved for who they are, but rather for the money and the attention and the fame that they're bringing into the family.
And finally, we'd see that it all led to loss.
She was supposed to be back on Mother's Day, and she never came back.
Dana Plato was just 35 years old when she died, gaunt and haunted. It was a shocking end for a woman who once had the brightest of futures, who lit up every room she entered.
It's an effervescence that I've never seen before, ever.
Dana was a ball of energy, just complete energy when she came in the room, and it was like a light came through the door.
She would actually come in the front door of the offices and do cartwheels right down to my office. And then she'd poke her head around the corner and say, "Hi, Collie."
She was the quintessential all-American girl, a vibrant, freckle-faced, innocent-looking sprite of a child who popped in the door of a Hollywood agent and changed her own destiny.
I could see a very magical little face. I mean, just extraordinary. So I called the mother and I said, I'd like to see Dana on such and such a date.
Within months after signing with a powerful new agent, Dana Plato would capture the role of Kimberly Drummond and the hearts of Americans when she stepped on the set of Different Strokes.
I read with Dana, and right off the bat, I knew she was Kimberly Drummond. And you know, I looked at Alberta, I was like, that's Kimberly Drummond, that's our sister, it has to be. And sure enough, she got the part.
On November 3rd, 1978, Americans turned on their television sets to be greeted by a show unlike any they'd ever seen before. The story, about a wealthy white father and his pretty young daughter adopting the two black orphans of the housekeeper, seemed to touch a national nerve.
And it really brought America to where, you know, two black kids are hugging a white man saying, I love you, changed America.
It was like the sun, the moon, and the stars came together when Different Strokes came on the air. It was an instant hit.
It was really a pinnacle show for America at the time because we were struggling with race relations really hard in America in the 70s, and that show really changed, you know, how we saw each other.
The show would also change the lives of its young stars. But from the highs of Different Strokes, they would plummet to lows no one could have imagined. In the end, the child stars of Different Strokes would pay an enormous price for their fame.
The curse of Different Strokes is that all three kids ended up in a lot of trouble.
Each of the young stars would ultimately face extraordinary turmoil. Dana Plato would face it all: alcohol and drug addiction, bankruptcy, and intense humiliation.
When you think of it, she went from Different Strokes to soft porn. Now that's a really big leap, but that's where she went. That's what happens, drugs and alcohol. You know, cocaine, pot, alcohol, that's where it takes you.
Which caused her husband to then leave her and take her son with him. At that point, she was so devastated by drug and alcohol abuse that she was not really able to work.
Behind Dana Plato's public story is a private tragedy, a heartbreaking tale of abandonment, loss, and desperation. Dana Plato was looking for love in all the wrong places, and in the end, she would die looking frantically for something she would never find.
Kevin, after you booked this hotel on Orbitz, another Orbitz customer booked the same room for less, so you get a price assurance check for the difference.
But I didn't do anything to get it.
It's automatic.
Hey, what about me? Do I get a check? I didn't do anything.
No, you have to book on Orbitz, then not do anything.
Only Orbitz has price assurance. If another Orbitz customer books the same hotel room for less, you get a check for the difference automatically.
When I wanted hardwood floors installed, I hired. His work was okay, but the job took twice as long as he had originally estimated. 1 month later, I opened my cable bill and found out why. He'd been watching pay-per-view movies on my TV when he was supposed to be working. Don't let this guy anywhere near your house, or for that matter, in remote control.
Save money and time by hiring the right contractor first. To see reviews from consumers near you, visit angieslist.com today.
The Craftsman Cordless Multi-Tool. The power and versatility of 6 tools packed into one. More innovation, more great values. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Allstate has more discounts than you can imagine. For anti-lock brakes, for safe driving, airbags, insuring your car and home, anti-theft devices, let's see. New cars, people over 65.
Call or click today for a free quote or to find an Allstate agent.
Hello? Mrs. Rhodes. Turn that down. No, I'm here at the office. I heard you were moving your accounts to Scott Trade. I work with a bunch of liars, right? Yeah, webinarios, sure. Yeah, I can make up words too. What? Oh, they have a knowledge center. That's great. I have a unicorn ranch.
Scottrade helps you take charge of your investments with an easy-to-use investing platform and first-class customer support.
Can we return the champagne?
Scottrade. Get invested.
Millions have lost weight on the South Beach Diet, and now it's supercharged for even faster weight loss at southbeachdiet.com.
I get to eat delicious food
while losing weight.
SouthBeachDiet.com makes it so easy to lose weight.
With South Beach Diet Supercharged, you'll rev up your metabolism so you'll lose weight even faster.
It's the easiest and the most delicious diet I've ever been on.
I've lost 33 pounds.
Go to SouthBeachDiet.com today and start losing weight with 7 days of the new South Beach Diet Supercharged absolutely free.
Did you get a call from the coach about those kids who were caught drinking? Not our guys. They know better. Yeah, they know better. Heads up, sport.
Real kids are curious about alcohol. 40% tried by the 8th grade. Talk early, talk often, get others involved.
It was November 7th, 1964. It was a day when the sky was a deep clear blue and the sun seemed brighter than ever. Inside a California hospital, Linda Strain gave birth to a baby girl she'd never held or saw. If she had, she says, she could never have given her up. That baby girl would be Dana Plato.
Linda was 16 at the time. She'd already had one child, I believe, and that it was just too much for her to take care of a second child. She was just too young. And it was then that Kay and Dean adopted Dana.
Miles away in Montebello, California, Dean and Kay Plato were overjoyed to finally have a beautiful, bright-eyed baby. New mother Kay lavished Dana with affection.
Kay loved Dana. It was just, Dana was her life. Ultimately, I mean, there was just nothing or anyone else in her life really that mattered as much as her daughter.
But eventually, even her husband seemed not to matter as much. When Dana was just 3, her father moved out. The little girl was crushed.
When little girls are abandoned by their fathers, they feel like damaged goods. They feel like no man would ever love them for who they are. They feel that they're not lovable. The parents who adopted her, who would have told her that she was special and they chose her and wanted her, obviously then when her father left her at approximately age 3 or 4, she couldn't believe that anymore.
Left alone to raise Dana, Kay tried hard to give her a normal life. But she soon discovered she didn't exactly have a normal little girl.
She could sing, she could dance, she was funny. Everything about her was special because she could do anything. Tap dance, ballet, ice skate, Olympics, could have been an Olympic skater. She could sing, she could do it all.
When she was 7, Dana persuaded her mother to let her try modeling and acting.
When little children clamor to be in front of the camera, it's because they're not getting enough love and attention at home, and because they are trying to get the love and attention from the camera, from the audience, from the applause.
Right from the start, the charming little girl was a stunning success. She was quickly cast in dozens of commercials and began to win movie roles as well. She played Wendy in Beyond the Bermuda Triangle and appeared in Return to Bogey Creek, but it was auditioning for The Gong Show that her life changed.
Different Strokes came about with a casting session. Al Burton, who was the executive producer person, spotted Dana and he said, I don't want to book her on this show, I have something else in mind. So he brought her back for that something else in mind, and that something else in mind was Different Strokes.
Dana was cast as Kimberly Drummond, the only child of a wealthy widower, played by Conrad Bain. He adopts the 2 African-American sons of his housekeeper, who has recently died.
Hi there. Hi. Hi, Metal Mouth. Daddy, isn't this delicious? We've just met and already he's insulting me like a real brother. By the way, guys, stay out of my room or I'll punch you out.
The show premiered the night of November 3rd, 1978, and from that moment on, there would be no turning back.
Oh, the excitement was just beyond all get out. I mean, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I think that we all negated to think, is this really what Dana wanted?
Oh my goodness, you couldn't even go anywhere with her. It was a nightmare sometimes to even go anywhere with her, that she wouldn't be recognized and people wanting her autograph and wanting to talk to her and wanting to take her picture and have their picture made with her.
By all accounts, the early years on Different Strokes were happy ones. The stunning success of the show even charming Nancy Reagan. The camaraderie among the cast, particularly the three child stars, Dana, Gary Coleman, and Todd Bridges, made it a heady time for 13-year-old Dana Plato.
I'm sure for so many years she was really happy. She loved attention. So when you're on a show, you're getting attention from millions of people.
Working on the set of Different Strokes was always a lot of fun. It was, the first 3 years were where the fun was.
She loved Todd, she loved Gary, she loved Conrad Bain. She loved working on the show.
We, as kids, did a lot of things together. We had lunch together, we had breakfast together, we had dinner together, we would go bowling together, we'd go do a lot of things together after the show, during the show. We'd go to each other's houses for parties.
The three young co-stars of Different Strokes bonded quickly, living out their childhood years on a soundstage.
We all loved the roller skate. That was the era of the roller skating when it became very big, and we used to roller skate around the studio, me, Dana, and Gary. We'd roller skate like crazy around everywhere.
But reality soon began to intrude on the charmed world at Different Strokes. For Dana, it would come with a vengeance. The diagnosis of her beloved mother, Kay, with an agonizing and ultimately fatal disease, scleroderma, that hardens the skin and shuts down blood vessels. Kay, who was dying, decided to tell her daughter the brutal truth and to prepare Dana for life without her.
Kay wasn't always feeling great, so, Dana felt abandoned was because her mother was ill. And then she's gonna pass away, you're gonna feel more abandonment issues.
Even though she was young when she was on Different Strokes, she already had so many personal family problems that any one of which would have been devastating for a child. Being adopted, having a father leave you at age 3, having a mother with a terminal illness. I mean, it was just overwhelming.
The pressure began to take a toll. As her mother spent more and more time in hospitals, Dana did more and more of whatever she pleased. The combination of too much money and freedom would prove to be dangerous.
Kay absolutely did spoil her to the end. She gave her everything. Everything. I mean, anything that Dana wanted, she got.
I remember plenty of times Dana would come over to the house and late at night, and you go to Dana's house and there'd be nobody there, just Dana.
She was smoking pot early on, she was drinking early on.
Friends at the time say her drinking and pot smoking began at about 13. Her behavior on the set, always professional before that, began to change. By the time she was 14, the bright-eyed, all-American girl with a limitless future was heading for serious trouble.
It's interesting now when you pull back the veil and see what was happening to Dana Plato while she was actually on the show. I mean, you didn't realize it was this sort of delightful, charismatic, jovial girl who is already at 12 and 13 years old drinking and 14 years old trying to commit suicide. So there's the public persona, there's the character that comes through on television, and then there's this private life.
A biography special featuring an exclusive interview with Eddie Murphy.
I'll give you $1 for every minute that you can stay on stage. You come work my club. I rode the train home in my makeup, like excited, like people were going to know that I was on TV. 48 hours. That was the beginning of an adventure.
Eddie Murphy, tomorrow at 9. Only on Bio.
By the rocks, right there.
I get really scared. They'd follow me down the hallway. When I first saw her, I woke up with my back burning. There's 4 scratches across my back.
Watch out!
The Psychic Kids Marathon starts Saturday at 8, only on Bio. True story.
You know what it takes to make your house a home. Airwick iMotion, the only continuous air freshener that detects movement, releasing a burst of fresh scent inspired by nature. So day after day, your home always feels welcoming. And Freshmatic Compact with iMotion makes even the tough spaces welcoming. Try the full iMotion range. Airwick, release the freshness of nature.
Can you believe how fast kids grow these days? That's why there's new Danonino. New Danonino has twice the calcium of milk, ounce per ounce, with vitamin D, so it's power-packed for healthy growth.
Yummy!
New Danonino from Danon, power-packed to help kids grow.
Daddy, can I get a puppy, please?
Okay, Sammy. It's bedtime.
Oh, 10 more minutes, please.
10 more.
Please? Hey, Daddy. Will you buy some alcohol for my party tonight? We'll be right here at the house. You can even take the keys. Please?
Absolutely not.
Never let me have anything.
Don't be a pushover.
Hate you.
Be a parent. Prevent. Don't provide alcohol to minors.
Pick a city, then get a 4-star hotel at a 2-star price from Hotwire.com. When 4-star hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them, so you get them at ridiculously low prices.
HOTWIRE, Hotwire.com. Rachel quit the corporate grind to start her own interior design business. She's got a growing list of clients she keeps in touch with using email marketing from ConstantContact.com. Constant Contact is easy and affordable. It lets her send out updates and photos that showcase her expertise and inspire her customers for only $15 a month. Her dream? To be the area's hottest interior design office. Right now, she just dreams of an office. Get a free trial at ConstantContact.com.
Get it saucy! Boston Market is kicking up the flavor of its signature rotisserie chicken with 5 new zesty sauces, from heat to sweet. Sauce it your way. It's free. Get it saucy. Only at Boston Market.
A hand tool so advanced, it eliminates I can't from your vocabulary. The Craftsman Pivoting Elbow Wrench, going where traditional wrenches never could. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
In the early 1980s, at the height of her fame, vibrant young Dana Plato was making nearly $25,000 a week. In addition to her role on Different Strokes, Dana was a much sought-after spokesperson for national products like Noxzema.
The best way to fight acne is to fight it day and night. But who has time? During the day, I'm busy. And at night, I'm asleep. So I'm glad there's new Noxzema 12-hour acne medicine.
The striking young woman had become a role model for teenage girls all across America and a heartthrob for teenage boys. But Dana's life was quietly spiraling out of control behind the scenes. Coping with nearly instant stardom, a terminally ill mother, and all the strains of adolescence, Dana took a step that would offer a chilling glimpse of her future and of her desperate need for attention.
Dana did attempt to take her life at 14. I believe it was an overdose of Valium. But she did it while her friends were in the house. If she really wanted to do it, she would have done it alone. The children just came running down the stairs, and about 3, 4, 5 of her friends, and they're all screaming that Dana had taken these pills. Anyway, we got her to a hospital and had her tummy pumped, and in no time at all the press got hold of it. And we're trying to hush it up, we're trying to keep it quiet. They found out. I believe that that was the beginning. I believe that was the beginning of her change. Her disappearing, her acting up on the set, her not showing up on call time at the correct time.
Kimberly, what is the matter?
Don't worry, Mr. D. She ain't got a hangover. I'm okay, Daddy. I'm just tired. I was up practically all night long studying.
Dana's muted cries for help would become virtual screams as the young teen began experimenting with cigarettes, alcohol, sex, and drugs.
Dana's drugs were cocaine, pot, a lot of pot. Dana, I tried, when I first started pot, it was with Dana. She introduced me to pot, and I'll never forget that. I wish I had never done that. I tried that.
Eventually, Dana's behavior began to affect life on the set.
We'd call her, she was the amazing Dana, because she would disappear on you. For instance, we'd be shooting a scene, and we're doing a scene, and we're like talking, and I'm singing my line, and Gary says his line, and we're like, it's supposed to be Dana's line. We go, where's Dana? Dana? And she's gone. She was there one minute, gone the next. I guess she was smoking pot on the set.
I mean, I think it's so ironic that you have a sitcom in which, you know, everybody's basically happy and gets along and it's loving and everybody's sitting on everybody's lap and Dad is so wonderful. And then behind the scenes of this sitcom, these child actors are really falling apart.
In 1983, the free-spirited young actress began dating an aspiring rock star, Lanny Lambert, and it was then that Dana began to balk at the demands of life on a sitcom.
You know, she came to a point in her life that she wanted total freedom. She said, Joni, I am so sick. I don't want to have to do anything anymore. I want my space. I want to go out in the wilderness, and I want to go to the meadows, and I want to go entertain myself.
But Dana's bid for freedom with her boyfriend Lanny would turn instead into a lifetime commitment. Dana got pregnant, and in April of 1984, she and Lanny married in Las Vegas.
I tried to stop it in the beginning. I told my son he was entirely too young to get married, and I told her, and she said, nope, there's no stopping us getting together.
3 months after her wedding, on July 2nd, 1984, 19-year-old Dana Plato gave birth to a baby boy, Tyler. The beautiful young actress was elated.
She was happy. Oh my goodness, she was happy. It's the happiest day of her life. She was just thrilled to death.
She was a wonderful mother. All said and done, she was a wonderful mother. She loved that little boy. She doted on him.
But as much as she loved Tyler, Dana had neglected to consider the impact her pregnancy would have on her career.
She's the star of a TV show, 18 or 19 years old, and she gets pregnant. And I think I read that she told her co-star, Conrad Bain, guess what, I'm going to have a baby. And he said, do you really want to have a baby at this time of your life? Because he understood. He understood that her pregnancy meant that she would be gone from the show, and that's exactly what happened.
Dana's character, Kimberly Drummond, was sent off to Paris to study with the understanding that she would return from time to time.
Firing her was the worst thing they ever did. When they fired her, that was the death of Dana. Emotion.
From that point on, Dana Plato's life would become a series of personal dramas, with few, if any, professional successes. Dana, without the routine and attention of different strokes, was lost.
See, one of the things about kids like Dana, who are very troubled, but have a structured life, a structured either school life or she was structured on a set, they can somehow keep it together. But once the structure is gone, she was no longer able to keep her life together.
When people grow up with holes or an emptiness inside of them, they look for things to fill it. In Dana's case, she began filling it with stardom from a very early childhood age. The applause, the lights. And when that died, she then looked for other things to fill it. Alcohol, drugs, anything for attention.
Soon, Dana had begun to leave home, partying all night, often with former cast member Todd Bridges, while neglecting her young son and terrifying her husband.
You know, we did cocaine together. We did drugs after the show was over. We did drugs together.
Then she'd get hysterical over nothing and run down the boulevard naked, just out of control.
Dana being wild herself, you know, she was hard to handle. And I'm sure Lanny had a tough time with her.
At just 20, Dana, married and a new mother, seemed to be hurtling toward oblivion.
Lanny called me and said, Mom, you got to get down here. Dana just jumped through the window, the plate glass window. Oh my gosh.
In 1985 and 86, Dana returned to Different Strokes for a few episodes. But her husband Lanny, worn down, had had enough. He took their son and left California. It would be the show's last season and Tyler's first real memory of his mother.
I'd have to say is I saw her on TV when I was young, and my dad told me, you know, about it. I knew what was going on, but when I actually saw her it was pretty cool. Good feeling.
They say when an alcoholic or addict is in the throes of addiction, their world gets smaller and smaller until there is nothing left but the substance they crave. Left without her husband or child, and with her own mother desperately ill, Dana Plato withdrew from the world. The bright-eyed child star, who had once worked 12-hour days 5 days a week, was now living like a recluse, never changing clothes, eating, or talking to another human being. The little girl with all the potential in the world had hit rock bottom. But in 1987, Dana would be forced to confront both real and imagined demons.
Thursday on Biography.
The flicking the hair and the tongue and the wrists.
As far as Sonny was concerned, I was his complete creation.
She reinvented herself.
She's the age she is and she could wear that rock on.
Before Britney, before Madonna, there was only Cher.
Cher on Biography. Thursday at 9, only on Bio.
Sometimes the tool with the most power isn't a power tool at all. The Craftsman Cross-Force Wrench, uniquely designed to deliver greater torque with every turn. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
I went into one of those dollar stores the other day to buy a pencil, and guess how much it cost? $2. Not no math whiz, but it seems to me the money doesn't go as far as it used to. With Denny's new 2, 4, 6, 8 value menu, you can get 16 different meals for $2, $4, $6, and $8. So $2 could get you a biscuit with gravy and an egg, or a pencil. For $4, you can get an everyday value slam and one of those rubber gnomes that go on top of the pencil. Choice is clear, unless you're really into gnomes and pencils, and then saving money is the least of your problems. Thank you, and good morning.
Stop throwing your hard-earned cash in the trash. The all-new Food Saver vacuum packaging system with Smart Seal technology could save you $2,700 a year. Don't waste food with ordinary zipper bags and plastic wrap. The Food Saver system takes air out and keeps it out, eliminating freezer burn. You can buy in economical bulk sizes, knowing the extras stay fresh up to 5 times longer. With its new upright design and hands-free operation, it has never been easier to keep your food fresh. The Food Saver system, available wherever small kitchen appliances are sold.
Let your mom feel your love every day with an exquisite piece of Mother's Day jewelry from JCPenney. You'll find diamond rings in sterling silver, pendants celebrating the joy of motherhood in gold and silver, sterling and diamond bracelets woven to show the eternal quality of love. With prices starting at $49.99, a beautiful keepsake is more affordable than ever. Even better, call or go online now to receive your JCPenney coupon. Good for $15 off a fine jewelry purchase of $75 or more. Mom's always there to help you shine. This Mother's Day, return the favor.
Call 1-800-868-1847 or go online to jcplovesmom.com now.
New look, new day. Who knew? JCPenney.
New Mousse Temptations by Jell-O. 3 decadent flavors, 60 calories. It's me o'clock. Time for Jell-O.
By December 1987, Dana Plato had fallen so far, gone so deeply into the clutches of her addiction, that she would actually enter her beloved mother's hospital room and scream at her to hurry up and die.
I don't think that was Dana. I think there was some sort of boogeyman inside of her. Drugs and alcohol, or call it what you want.
But Dana, who uttered those words, was in fact terrified of losing the one person she trusted in all the world.
There were times that I know that Dana would just curl up into bed with her mum, and they'd just both watch television together, and she would do that until Kay couldn't.
Dana, who basically lost her father in 1984 when he unsuccessfully sued her for financial support, would finally lose her mother too. In January of 1988, Kay Plato would die of scleroderma.
The key word to understanding Dana Plato is abandonment. She was abandoned by her biological parents, abandoned by her father. Her adoptive parents divorced. So throughout her life, she had this series of abandonments, which left an incredible aching hole inside of her.
By now, the lonely child star was a largely unemployable adult.
And she easily was forgotten by people who could employ her and grabbed at, desperately, any project she could get.
In June of 1989, Dana's fans could open an issue of Playboy magazine and see the innocent little girl they'd welcomed into their living rooms in a series of revealing photos.
They capitalized on her sexuality, which is exactly what the public did not want to see. They wanted to see her as this cute, freckle-faced little girl who was sitting on the lap of her daddy.
Dana's risk would prove to be Dana's disaster. The combination of the Playboy photos, rumors of drug use, and wild behavior had turned her into a Hollywood pariah. In March of 1990, after her husband divorced her and won custody of their son, a shaken Dana decided to leave California. She went straight to Las Vegas, a town fueled by as much desperation as she was. But even in the midst of her growing addiction, Dana tried hard to maintain a relationship with her beloved son, Tyler, who would visit often.
She was great. She was my best friend. Me and my mom had a relationship where I could tell her anything, and she'd tell me anything.
With no other skills and a limited education, Dana took a job as a cashier at a dry cleaner. The girl who had been earning up to $25,000 an episode at age 14 was now earning $200 a week and being ridiculed for doing it.
You have to that's what comes on with the territory. You have to accept it. Any job that I work at, people are gonna make fun of me. Oh, you're nobody, man. Look, oh, you used to be somebody. That's what we have to deal with.
It was a far cry from the bright lights and big money Dana Plato once had, and hers was a bleak and lonely life. She spent most of her time in neighborhood bars, slipping deeper and deeper into a vortex of drugs and alcohol. Finally, after almost a year, Dana snapped.
911, what's your emergency?
When Dana robbed the video store in 1991, I just believed there was a cry for help.
On February 28, 1991, Dana, garbed in black, stepped into a Las Vegas video store and, behaving as if she had a gun, asked the clerk to give her all her money. The clerk handed over $164, and Dana quickly left the store.
Well, she claimed that she needed money. Her grandmother lived a couple of miles from there. I don't know why she wouldn't have gone there. I don't know why she wouldn't have contacted me.
There's no way Kimberly Drummond can rob at a store or rob somewhere, a video store, and no one's not going to know who she is.
The clerk did recognize Dana and called 911 saying, "I've just been robbed by the girl who played Kimberly on Different Strokes." Strangely, 15 minutes later, Dana came back to the store. She was promptly arrested and charged with armed robbery.
Smile.
Yeah, it's not candid cameras for sure.
Swept along by a wave of reporters, 26-year-old Dana Plato was taken to the Clark County Detention Center.
Please, the court, I represent Ms. Plato. This is the time set for preliminary hearing.
Her bail was set for $13,000. It was money she didn't have.
Wayne Newton was actually bailed her out.
June 6th, 10 a.m., Department 9.
Wayne Newton, bless his heart.
Just wanted to know how it felt to be in court today.
I'm sorry, no.
She just wanted some help, wanted somebody to pay attention to her. To show her that they loved her.
It could well be the reason why she chose a video store to rob, hoping that a clerk in a video store would be more likely to recognize her than someone in a grocery store, for example, and that then she might get the help that she needed, in that this was partially a cry for help, and also she would get the recognition.
In the end, the former child star got what many considered a lenient sentence: 5 years of probation.
I feel lucky to have had the opportunity to get into recovery and get better, or get well, I should say. And I feel lucky to have experienced everything that I have.
But But Todd Bridges, Dana's Different Strokes co-star, who is clean and sober today, feels that Dana's sentence was too easy.
Unfortunately, Dana got out of it so fast that she didn't know that there had to be a change in her life, that she had to make a difference. And for an addict, it just takes, he has to learn the hard way.
For the better part of her life, Dana Plato, it seemed, had been desperately seeking to fill a void. In November of 1991, Dana began to search for her birth parents. And in December of that year, Dana Plato would finally meet the woman who gave birth to her.
By the box, right there.
I get really scared. They'd follow me down the hallway. When I first saw her, I woke up with my back burning. There was 4 scratches across my back.
Watch
The Psychic Kids Marathon starts Saturday at 8, only on Barco. True story.
So I was the guy who was never going to have the heart attack. I watched what I ate. I worked out. Personally, I thought I was invincible. Once it happened, I realized it's a different story. I'm on an aspirin regimen now because I never want to feel that helplessness again.
Aspirin is not appropriate for everyone, so be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin an aspirin regimen.
I was the guy who was doing everything right. I was wrong. Talk to your doctor and take care of what you have to take care of.
Learn more about protecting your heart at IamProHeart.com.
Put 6 tools in the palm of your hand. Introducing the Craftsman Universal Ratcheting Wrench. 1 tool, getting many jobs done faster. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
Are you making it easier for bacteria to grow on your dentures? You are if you use toothpaste instead of soaking them in Polident. Toothpaste is abrasive on dentures. Look, scratches where bacteria can collect and grow. And bacteria can cause bad breath. That's why I recommend replacing toothpaste with Polident. Only Polident is proven to clean without scratching and kills 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. Don't scratch your dentures clean. Use Polident every day.
Introducing Fresh Pet Select, refrigerated food for dogs. Fresh Pet is an all-natural meal of fresh meats and vegetables with no preservatives or byproducts. Find it in your grocer's pet aisle refrigerator. Fresh Pet Select, available for cats too.
Would you trust me? You want me to take your word for it?
This guy I met online, he could be anyone.
How can I know who to trust? Background checks are no longer just for corporations. Thanks to BeenVerified.com, you can run instant background checks on anyone, even yourself, right from your home computer.
Dating online can be scary, but with Been Verified, I know exactly who I'm meeting before the first date.
My accountant, my mortgage broker, and even my electrician. Now I know I can trust him.
No stranger comes around my growing family without a background check. With Been Verified, you can search anyone's background. What turns up just might surprise you. Find out before it's too late.
With Been Verified, you can trust me.
I make sure I know before I date.
Been Verified protects me and my family.
Isn't it better to know for sure?
BeenVerified.com.
It's easy to keep you and your family safe. Visit BeenVerified.com/TV1 now for a free trial of unlimited background checks.
On December 2nd, 1991, Dana Plato, under the familiar gaze of TV cameras and with the help of an adoption agency named International Locators, finally met the birth mother who had given her up for adoption 27 years earlier.
Well, she was all happy at first. Oh, guess what, Joni? I'm going to meet my mother.
Their joyous reunion soon inspired a commercial.
Are you the person who gave up a baby for adoption and has wondered ever since whatever happened to that child?
When I came back on, she said, your daughter's an actress.
Dana would quickly discover that she had a ready-made biological family who welcomed her with open arms. At first, she kept in touch with them, but less than a year later, she abruptly cut off all contact with no explanation.
She said, Joni, I'm so sorry I did that. She said she didn't want me, and Kay did, and that was really my mother. She said, I don't ever want to see her again.
By January of 1992, Dana was adrift and casting about once again.
She came to Oklahoma, and I thought, maybe she's had enough and she's going to straighten up. Next thing I know, I had a call from the district attorney.
Dana had flown to Oklahoma, stolen her former father-in-law the doctor's prescription pad, and forged prescriptions of 100 Valium with 10 refills and returned to Las Vegas. This time, she turned herself in.
Is she going to make it this time?
She better make it. I'm going to make sure and do everything that I can do to make her make it.
This time, she faced new charges of forgery and violation of parole. She still had 4 years of probation to serve for her armed robbery charges of less than a year earlier. Dana's life had become completely unmanageable.
And I went to her trial to help her out in Vegas when I was kind of on shaky ice. Try to help her so she wouldn't go to jail.
Miraculously, Dana walked away with back-to-back sentences of 5 years probation. And once again, critics claim the sentence was a lenient one because of her fame.
When you're addicted to something like drugs or alcohol, you do things that are not in your nature. And I really think that people that have an addiction problem should be able to get some help. I really do, rather than just going to prison.
And for a brief shining moment in April of 1992, Dana Plato did seem better. She performed for the first time in nearly 6 years.
Not a scratch! Why, just look at my nails!
Appearing as a showgirl in the revue Tropical Heat in Las Vegas. But she fell just as quickly. After only 4 months, the show abruptly ended. A brief succession of B-movies followed. Then, on October 15, 1992, Dana appeared in a video game called Night Trap that was so degrading and so violent, it not only enraged loyal fans, but it helped spark congressional hearings on violence in videos.
Night Trap was developed specifically for an adult audience. MA-17, not appropriate for children.
Mired in controversy, Dana then even tried appearing on stage, but nothing, it seemed, could reignite her smoldering career.
It becomes a spiral downward when the child star becomes notorious. They become less desirable in any kind of television or film project. And she easily was forgotten by people who could employ her.
Hers had become a lonely, isolated life, and Dana missed her son Tyler. She decided to return to Oklahoma to live with Tyler and her ex-husband. And this time, she had a new plan.
She was going to be the textbook mom.
Oh, she was normal. She gave Tyler the best, probably the best year of his life.
She would take me to school, and then she'd come pick me up, go home, just have some family time. And then, you know, just tucked me into bed and did it all the next day.
But as hard as she tried, Dana couldn't keep it up. A year after she'd come home, Dana was lured away again, back to the empty promise of Hollywood.
She would stop and people would take photographs and autographs, and she loved that, being recognized. You see a big light, she just big grin on her face. She just loved attention.
Without work, family, or any structure, Dana began to deteriorate again, flirting from man to man and reportedly sometimes from woman to woman. By 1996, Dana no longer bothered to hide her habits from 12-year-old Tyler.
That's when I started to mature a little bit and see a problem and semi-understand what was going on. She was smoking crack cocaine and on pills. And that's when it really started getting bad. She just did not look good at all. The house was a mess. And, you know, I found little rocks on the bathroom floor and stuff like that.
She got so different. You know, she went to a whole different person.
In 1997, a far different person than her fans had ever imagined appeared in a softcore video. There was Dana, flaunting her sexuality in the snidely titled Different Strokes, The Story of Jack and Jill. She played a lesbian involved in a sex triangle.
You feel really warm. Feels good to cuddle like this, doesn't it?
Gone was the bright-eyed young girl who had graced people's living rooms for nearly 8 years in the real Different Strokes. In her place was a desperate young woman on a tragic downward spiral.
Are these really cautionary tales? Marilyn Monroe, is she a cautionary tale? Anna Nicole Smith, is she a cautionary tale? You know, Dana Plato, is she a cautionary tale?
Thanks to the new venture card from Capital One, we get double miles with every purchase. So we earned a tropical vacation in half the time. We earn double miles every time we use our card. Double miles add up fast, so we can bring the whole gang.
Awesome!
It's hard to beat double miles. Everyone knows 2 is better than 1.
Introducing the Venture Card from Capital One with double miles on every purchase every day. Go to CapitalOne.com.
Hey, what's in your wallet? Wait up!
The Craftsman Hammerhead, the only auto hammer worthy of the Craftsman name. Engineered to drive home nails with the touch of a button. More innovation, more great values. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Welcome to the Clorox 2 Stain Research Facility. Please proceed to the viewing platform. Watch tough stains disappear right before your eyes with Clorox 2 Stain Fighter and Color Booster. See for yourself. Lose the stains, keep the color. 1 bottle of Clorox 2 takes care of 33 loads. Tide Stain Release only does 11. Find Clorox 2 next to the Clorox Bleach.
Can you believe how fast kids grow these days? That's why there's new Danonino. New Danonino has twice the calcium of milk, ounce per ounce, with vitamin D, so it's power-packed for healthy growth.
Yummy!
New Danonino from Danon, power-packed to help kids grow.
These days, money market funds are paying less than 2%. So forget return on investment. Let's talk return on insurance. Switch your car insurance to Allstate, and you can earn a 5% bonus. 5% of your premium sent to you twice a year for as long as you don't have an accident. The safe driving bonus check, only from Allstate.
See how much you could save. Call or click today for a free quote or to find an Allstate agent.
Well, hello there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Does your air freshener greet you? New Airwick iMotion does. It's the only scented oil with a motion sensor that sees you and says hi back with a boost of fresh scent. Airwick iMotion.
Also try Airwick Tropical Bliss with the essence of coconuts and breezes that welcomes you to paradise in your living room. Say aloha to Tropical Bliss.
There's a new epidemic, smokable cocaine, otherwise known as crack.
Fat Cat was the biggest drug dealer in Queens during the 1980s.
Selling cocaine, selling heroin.
He had the money, the cars, the women. Everybody wanted to be like him.
It's one thing to be known as a gunman. It's another thing to be known as a manipulator, thinker. But when all of those qualities are embodied in one person, that's a force to be reckoned with.
Get up close and personal with the world's most fascinating people. Go to bio.com/shop for exclusive DVDs, books, and more. Real life, unfiltered.
Okay, what? I'm at my mom and dad's house in Nottingham where she's not breathing. It's Dana Plato.
For the people who loved her, watching Dana Plato's final days was like watching a car accident right before it happens.
We're trying CPR, we're not getting anything, we're not getting a pulse, we're not getting nothing.
It's not accidental when you're an addict. It's just which day will it happen?
But before it all ended, there would be one last gasp, one last flirtation with death, and one last attempt at stardom. In the fall of 1998, friend and former child star himself, Johnny Whitaker, offered to manage Dana if she promised to stay clean and sober.
I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because, unfortunately, a lot of people don't trust addicts and alcoholics, as well they shouldn't, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt.
Thrilled and hopeful, Dana agreed to stay clean and eagerly went to get new headshots.
One of the things that struck me about her was completely how alive she was in front of the camera, how professional, how connected she was.
The pictures would capture Dana's essence in a way that had not been seen in years. In a way that would never be seen again.
She did tell me that the pictures, she felt they really represented her and her true soul.
During her photo session, Dana chatted happily, proudly about Tyler.
She talked about him so much, and she loved him so much. That was really honestly what she talked about for a good part of the day.
And then Dana left the photo studio. She left Los Angeles, and she disappeared.
said, Tyler, this is Johnny Whitaker. I'm your mom's manager. All I want to know is that Dana's okay. He says, well, my mom is here and she's fine, but she doesn't want anybody to know where she is.
Dana eventually found her way back to Oklahoma. There, she met Robert Menchaca in a bar, and within days was engaged to him. With her last dollars from a childhood trust fund, Dana bought the two a motorhome and reportedly began buying drugs.
The end was definitely the roughest. I mean, there was a situation in my grandmother's house. We walked into the back room and she was on her back, gargling.
It's called death rattles. You know what I mean?
I think she'd taken too many pills. I don't know. I don't know what was going on. She might have been on a bender and up for a couple days and just fully knocked out.
I just screamed at Tyler. I said, oh my God, help me. And her eyes was rolled back in her head.
But she was out of it, gone.
I ran with her in the shower and turned the shower on her, and she just woke up like that. She just woke up. And like nothing had ever happened.
In the spring of 1999, Dana would be called to New York by an event promoter who wanted her to promote a concert on The Howard Stern Show. She agreed.
What happened to her on Howard Stern, it happens a lot on Howard Stern with different guests, but you have to be ready for it.
She was supposed to be back on Mother's Day, or the day before Mother's Day.
On May 7th, 1999, Dana Plato went on the show. She was excited, hoping to be welcomed back to public life. Instead, she was humiliated. Every aspect of her life ridiculed.
Get this girl out of here. She's a has-been.
Oh, please.
Come on. She just needs to admit that she's an ex-druggie, ex-con, lesbian with mental health problems.
The more Dana talked, the more she lied.
Dana, when she got on there and she goes, she's never done cocaine. I'm thinking to myself, I'm listening to the show going, Dana, I've done so much cocaine with you. Why would you lie and say you've never done cocaine?
Todd Bridges, who's been clean and sober for 14 years now, believes that had Dana been honest, she might have at least earned the compassion of listeners. In fact, callers were so hard on Dana that even Howard Stern seemed bothered.
And just so many rumors swirling. I've never met anybody so controversial.
You know how hard it is for me to go through life? You don't even know.
Oh, I bet you I do know. It seems to me like everybody's attacking you.
The Howard Stern Show, that really ripped her up. She called me after that. And she was so crying so hard.
Dana was never good at taking criticism, never good at, taking the abuse that she was going to take on that show.
I didn't dream she was going to go home and die. And she was so, she said, Joni, I've never been so humiliated in all my life.
A shattered Dana flew straight back to Oklahoma. On Saturday, May 8th, exhausted and depressed, she told her fiancé that she was going to lie down in their trailer for a while. It was the day before Mother's Day. Tyler was at home, waiting for a call that would never come.
She said, Tyler, I will call you. He waited all day for her call, and there he is with her Mother's Day gift and expecting her to call any minute.
Okay, what? How about my mom and dad's lady? It's Dana Plato. We're not getting a pulse, we're not getting nothing. Come on, Dana. Come on, Dana. Dana, come on.
Finally, former child actress Dana Plato has died of a drug overdose in Oklahoma.
Initial media reports stated that Dana died of an accidental overdose of a painkiller Lortab and Valium.
Authorities called the death of the 34-year-old Plato an apparent accident.
But later, a medical examiner concluded that the cause of death was suicide. It was a ruling no one who knew Dana well agreed with.
I don't think she committed suicide. I don't at all. That wasn't her.
Most addicts, we're not trying to commit suicide. We're trying to get loaded. And upon trying to get loaded, you just don't know how much you're taking.
She was too happy-go-lucky, and she didn't want to die.
In the end, Dana Plato got the one thing she had searched for all her life. Tragically, however, it would be at her memorial service.
We did have a media frenzy outside. We had a full house. About 300 or 400 people had come. Many friends from Hollywood. Many friends from television and film, and it was a beautiful thing.
Finally in death, at last, the sweet and fragile star was lavished with praise and affection. And there at her memorial service, taped as she would have wanted by the Lisa Show, was her beautiful legacy, her devoted son, Tyler.
I'd just like to say that I loved her a whole lot, and I'm really gonna miss her. And that's it.
This program contains language which some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Tonight, TV Guide, the truth behind the sitcoms. You've heard the rumors. Now learn the real story of the heartache and scandal of One Day at a Time.
I remember bringing cocaine to work, and one day the vial fell out of my pocket onto the floor.
I thought she could be dead soon.
Yeah, I was sitting there with a needle hanging out of my arm. It was really bad.
It wasn't ignored. It wasn't ignored. She was fired.
Well, I wanted more money.
I think I did cause trouble because I was so unhappy.
Mick Jagger turns and locks the door and turns to me and says, "I've been waiting for this since you were 10 years old."
You'll hear about the outrageous sexual behavior and the shocking allegations behind the scenes at Happy Days.
She said that somebody had abused her or attacked her.
I can't believe that Erin would say something like that. I mean, it just sounded so ludicrous.
Everyone expected me to, I don't know what, throw a tantrum or quit.
I think that my only vice for a certain amount of time was women.
Thank goodness, a lot of beautiful ladies out there.
Some woman just pulled down her dress to show me her God-given gift.
And you'll find out what was really going on behind the scenes at the Jeffersons.
Talk about jungle bunnies and watermelon rinds just being thrown from the window and all. I couldn't believe what I heard.
We did get some hate mail.
You just feel like you've been kicked in the stomach, you know, just like, whoa.
I haven't got a clue why we didn't get recognition.
We weren't getting paid all that much, you know.
Everybody gets funny when they get a little money.
All on TV Guide, the truth behind the sitcoms. One Day at a Time was a top 10 hit and a milestone in television history. A realistic sitcom about a divorced mother told from a feminist point of view. Bonnie Franklin, fresh from her Tony-nominated role in the Broadway musical Applause, was getting her big break at national stardom in a Norman Lear sitcom pilot. Playing her rebellious daughter, Julie, would be Mackenzie Phillips, daughter of John Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas, and a full-blown movie star in her own right, having recently starred in the smash hit American Graffiti. Rumors of tension surfaced almost immediately.
They called and said, well, okay, we're going to do this, and Mackenzie Phillips is going to be playing your daughter. Now, I'd seen Mackenzie in American Graffiti. Yeah, she was fabulous. She was wonderful, but I thought, A, she's too old.
What she didn't realize was that I was just 15 years old. I mean, I think she thought I was 18 years old.
And B, she's too tall.
That's not fair! Well, I remember there was some sort of confusion about the billing, because at the time, I was the known person on the series, you know. As far as the television audience and the film-going audience was concerned, I was the person that people recognized. And so, you know, I think it was the management of me and Bonnie going back and forth about billing, co-starring Mackenzie Phillips and Bonnie Franklin, starring Mackenzie Phillips with Bonnie Franklin, and it turned into a bit of a nightmare.
Then we made a first pilot that was very different from the second. Valerie was not in our first pilot.
Anne Romano, Bonnie Franklin's character, was the mother of one child.
The first pilot was a mess. It was just a mess. There was nothing clear about it.
And CBS saw the pilot, and they reworked it, and we reshot it, and Valerie was cast as my sister.
We were in trouble, actually, our first season, as far as I was concerned, because our shows were just not very good.
We were a yawn for the first 15 shows, as I recall.
The network asked us to do 2 more episodes, and I said no, and went to Norman and said, I don't want to do this unless it's about what this show is supposed to be, what you meant it to be. It needs to be about divorce. It needs to be about what it's like for kids growing up as children of divorce.
She spent the weekend in the script, and when she came in on Monday morning, she was loaded for bear.
She was like a bulldog, a truck driver. You know, she'd come in the morning on Monday morning, and she knew what she wanted, and damn it, she was going to get it.
I think I did cause trouble because I was so unhappy with what the show was about.
Franklin was not the only unhappy cast member. Mackenzie Phillips was just 14 years old when she rocketed to stardom in American Graffiti. She was ill-equipped to cope with fame.
I think that the way a child handles child stardom is really, really based on how their parents have raised them. And I was raised in a very, very permissive, surrounded by drug and alcohol abuse, not use, but abuse, from a very young age, and that I was not at all prepared to handle child stardom.
Although the adult co-stars of One Day at a Time suspected Phillips was on a downward spiral, they weren't eager to get involved.
I don't think I was ever a mother figure to them.
I never would have survived with Bonnie as a mother. She would have thrown me out.
I felt more in a position of older advisor person rather than parental. I wasn't in the position to do that.
From the beginning, Valerie Bertinelli was the good daughter, both on camera and off.
When she hit, it was like she had a rocket in her keister. I mean, she just went through the roof.
When Valerie started to soar, I couldn't even watch the show. It killed me. Privately, it killed me.
With sisters and relationships and rivalries and all of that kind of stuff, the two of them have a whole story all in and of themselves.
I was happy for her. But, you know, you can be happy for someone and want to throttle them all in the same moment. So, yeah, there was some resentment. I just felt so frustrated with that beautiful peaches and cream skin, and here I was with, like, these craters and mountains all over my face.
She was gorgeous, and she was very skilled, and played comedy well and smart. And I think the bigger picture is America grew up with her and virtually adopted her as their favorite daughter. And she was the healthy one, and she was the beautiful one, and she was perceived as the golden child.
Even when Valerie Bertinelli married Eddie Van Halen, a rock star known for his less than conventional lifestyle, she remained the embodiment of the old-fashioned girl.
What I could see was that she really loved him, and Van Halen is sitting there saying, I'm dating the most beautiful woman on television, the most popular girl in America. Yeah, that works.
As Mackenzie's life became a nightmare, Bertinelli and the other cast members grew increasingly irritated by her erratic behavior.
I began to notice, oh, yeah, people are feeling the strain of this. And Valerie was definitely pulling back. There was definitely a carefulness early on.
The good girl and the bad girl.
Valerie and I had a really close relationship, and I think Valerie's a very smart woman, and also knows what's the right thing to do for her career and what's not, and especially at that time when she was really on the brink of superstardom. And when my troubles became more apparent, my addiction and alcoholism was becoming obvious to everybody, she backed off. And it hurt me deeply at the time, but retrospectively, I certainly don't blame her. She had everything to lose, and I was already losing everything.
Coming up, Mackenzie Phillips falls prey to an aging rock star.
Mick Jagger turns and locks the door and turns to me and says, I've been waiting for this since you were 10 years old.
Sherman Hemsley talks about his years in a gang.
My mother told me to either go to the Air Force or go to jail, because that's where I was headed.
And the outrageous rumors about Happy Days Scott Baio.
I've been gay. I was a drug addict. What the hell else was I that people wrote about me?
All when the truth behind the sitcoms returns.
Why do women like you love Activia Light?
Sometimes I have no choice but to eat heavy, greasy food that's part of my diet and my digestive system. So I eat Activia Light every day. It helps me feel good and look good too.
Activia! A hand tool so advanced, it eliminates I can't from your vocabulary. The Craftsman Pivoting Elbow Wrench, going where traditional wrenches never could. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Let your mom feel your love every day with an exquisite piece of Mother's Day jewelry from JCPenney. You'll find diamond rings in sterling silver, pendants celebrating the joy of motherhood in gold and silver, sterling and diamond bracelets woven to show the eternal quality of love. With prices starting at $49.99, a beautiful keepsake is more affordable than ever. Even better, call or go online now to receive your JCPenney coupon. good for $15 off a fine jewelry purchase of $75 or more. Mom's always there to help you shine. This Mother's Day, return the favor.
Call 1-800-868-1847 or go online to jcplovesmom.com now.
New look, new day. Who knew? JCPenney.
Kevin, after you booked this hotel on Orbitz, another Orbitz customer booked the same room for less, so you get a price assurance check for the difference.
But I didn't do anything to get it.
It's automatic.
Hey, what about me? Do I get a check? I didn't do anything.
No, you have to book on Orbitz, then not do anything.
Only Orbitz has price assurance. If another Orbitz customer books the same hotel room for less, you get a check for the difference automatically.
Millions have lost weight on the South Beach Diet, and now it's supercharged for even faster weight loss at southbeachdiet.com.
I get to eat delicious food while losing weight.
SouthBeachDiet.com makes it so easy to lose weight.
With South Beach Diet Supercharged, you'll rev up your metabolism so you'll lose weight even faster.
It's the easiest and the most delicious diet I've ever been on.
I've lost 33 pounds.
Go to southbeachdiet.com today and start losing weight with 7 days of the new South Beach Diet Supercharged absolutely free.
More people than ever are going hungry.
I can help.
The economy has impacted a lot of things.
I can help.
I have a decision to make. To pay for my medication or eat.
I can help.
We all can help by participating in the Letter Carriers Food Drive. Take the surplus in your food pantry, leave it out for your letter carrier, and you will help feed those people that are struggling today.
Stamp Out Hunger, Saturday, May 8th.
At the same time that One Day at a Time was at the top of the ratings, it was also a show in turmoil. Valerie Bertinelli had emerged as a bona fide superstar, helping to send Mackenzie Phillips deeper into a drug and alcohol-fueled depression. With the entire show seemingly on edge, there was only one person who could be counted on to lighten up the atmosphere.
The ladies in this building don't call me super for nothing.
There was a lot of women, a lot of women who found this guy attractive, found him sexy. That's always the case. I mean, that's always the case on television.
I mean, Schneider was a ridiculous character.
You want me, don't you?
While Pat Harrington had a following not unlike groupies around a rock star, a certain aging rock star was about to re-enter Mackenzie Phillips' life.
I was at a party at my father's, in the same building as Mick Jagger, and my father's friends were there, and Mick Jagger was at the party, and I've known him since I was a little kid, and I always thought he was so beautiful, and he said, let's go make tuna fish sandwiches in my apartment. His apartment was like the floor below. So my dad and Mick and I went down to his apartment, and Mick goes, John, we don't have any mayonnaise. Run upstairs and get some mayonnaise. So my father leaves. Mick Jagger turns and locks the door and turns to me and says, I've been waiting for this since you were 10 years old. Now, I was 18, at the time. So I ended up spending the night in his apartment. My dad banged on the door, Mick, what are you doing? That's my daughter in there. And he was like, oh, buzz off, John. And so I spent the night, and, obviously, we had sex. And the next morning, he says, you better call your father. So I called my father. Now, Mick was in the kitchen making tea and toast and fresh strawberries. He was like the gentleman, And I called my dad, and he said, are you okay? Was he nice to you? And I said, Dad, he was very nice. He's making tea. I'll be down in about an hour.
In this anything-goes atmosphere, not even an arrest for drug possession could stir her father to assume a more parental role.
I remember specifically when I called my father after the arrest, and I was sitting in my house in Laurel Canyon. And I was on the front page of the LA Times, and Rona Barrett was reporting about it on the news. And I said, Dad, I got arrested. And he goes, all right, kid, it's about time.
Phillips was crashing. She pushed the limits, and the producers pushed back.
My first week there, I saw the big problem. I mean, it was right there on a table. And I came home and I said to my wife, this is never gonna last. She will not last, and neither will I.
I remember bringing cocaine to work, and one day the vial fell out of my pocket onto the floor, and I think Harrington may have seen it. And you know what it was? Just pretend it's not happening. on their part and on mine.
It wasn't ignored. It wasn't ignored. She was fired.
The producers came to me and said, look, we need you to go get well.
And it's the best thing that could possibly happen. So I think that it was handled actually extremely well.
And so, I mean, I didn't know how to go get well. I was 17 years old, you know. So I would go and I would, you know, have my teeth cleaned and my hair cut, and I'd buy a new outfit and get a massage and go to the dermatologist, and I'd come back and say, ta-da, I'm well.
Their lives consumed by drugs, Phillips and her father were desperate for help.
My dad was arrested for trafficking narcotics, and he called me from a rehab in New Jersey. I mean, and literally I was sitting there with a needle hanging out of my arm. It was really bad. And he said, you need help, and I need help. He said, I need help because without your help, I'm gonna go to prison. He was facing 45 years. I got on the next plane, and I went into rehab. And this was a very bizarre kind of rehab.
Mackenzie will be the first to tell you that whole New Jersey rehab was a farce.
They said that if alcohol wasn't your primary drug of choice, you could continue to drink. During that time, we negotiated a return to 1 day at a time.
When she came back in that 9th season, they told her that here's the deal, just like athletes. At any time, we can give you a blood test or urine test. She agreed to it, and she came back.
And I had put on a lot of weight because I wasn't doing cocaine anymore, and I didn't know how to take care of my body in a healthful manner.
Nobody wanted her to be hurt.
I felt horribly ugly, and I hated myself on a daily basis, and I wasn't getting high, but I was drinking.
It was a tough time, mostly for her.
And because I didn't have real abstinence and I was continuing to drink, I was back on cocaine within a year, maybe within 6 months. And the weight went off, and I was back down to 99 pounds, and they were patting my clothes, and my skin was exploding. I mean, they couldn't even get a close-up of me because I looked like the moon, you know, it was just horrible. And I was asleep on the couch during rehearsal.
And I went up to her on the couch, and I shook her, and I woke her up, and I said, Mac, it's Patricia. And she was very groggy. And I said, I have to ask you for a urine test.
And I remember saying to her, Patricia, if you wait until tomorrow, it'll be fine. Because I knew how long it took for drugs to go out of your system.
I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
And I said, well then, don't even bother. And I got up, and I got my stuff. And I remember as I was walking to my car, I saw the rest of the cast coming from the executive producers' offices, all of them together walking, and I knew that they'd been in a meeting about me, and everyone had left the rehearsal hall so that Patricia could wake me up.
I dissolved into tears that day. We sat around the table, all of us, and we were really concerned with her getting through the night.
And I didn't even wave, I didn't even look their way. I put my stuff in my car and drove away.
There was anger, and there was frustration, and there was great sadness, and I thought she could be dead soon.
And I didn't see any of them for many years. And that was the end of my 1 day at a time.
When Phillips left the show, she was making a small fortune. But for another actor, the money wasn't nearly enough.
Well, I wanted more money. And they said, no, you're not worth it. I said, oh, yeah, I am. And they said, no, you're not. I said, oh, yeah? Watch what I'm going to do. So I got big law firm. They said, well, don't go back to work. So I stayed off work for a month. And they did the 4 worst shows I ever did. And they wanted me back.
Harrington was holding out for the same deal as Bonnie Franklin, who reportedly was getting $40,000 per episode plus residuals. The veteran actor settled for about $15,000 per episode. 1 Day at a Time went on for 9 seasons, and the network was ready to commit for 2 more, but Bonnie Franklin decided to call it quits.
She had, for 9 years, she had been central to the story and the solution. And now she was making coffee and talking to others who were central to the story and the solution. And she just didn't want to do that for another 2 years. You can't find any fault with that.
The show had gotten tired. The writers were not coming up with anything anymore. We had a new director our last year. Mackenzie wasn't in good shape. And so it was all just not good.
Well, I was really ticked off at Bonnie because they offered me more money than I knew existed for another 2 years, right?
Pat, I apologize. Well, I don't apologize.
I had such plans for that cash.
With One Day at a Time canceled, Mackenzie Phillips left her TV family for her real family, touring with her father in the Mamas and the Papas. It would take another 10 years before she found a reason to turn her life around.
Listen, I left One Day at a Time in 1982 or 83, and I didn't get sober until 1992. So my life for those years, I can't even explain it. I was on the road with my father and the Mamas and the Papas for almost 10 years. We were traveling an average of 200 days a year. And I had a son who I put at great risk while I was pregnant. He was born without any complications. The child is a miracle. He's a gift from God. And then one day in 1992, my son was almost 5. And I woke up and I just knew that I was gonna die if I didn't do something. And that didn't used to matter. If I was gonna die, that would have been fine. But this day it mattered. It finally mattered. And I picked up the phone, and I was in detox by sundown. And I was in detox for 2 weeks, and then I went to a place for the reluctant to recover.
When she turned the corner, whew, it was breathtaking. It was just breathtaking.
Mackenzie got well when she decided to have a life with her son. She realized, I am costing myself the greatest gift I have ever gotten. What am I doing?
My sobriety date is January 27th, 1992. So just very recently, I've celebrated my 8th sober year. And I gotta tell you that my life has never been better.
But there was still one last step to take.
I would call Valerie probably every 6 months during the first 6 years of my sobriety and say, "Hi Val, it's Mac. Just want to let you know I love you. I'm thinking of you. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I want you to know I've got 2 years and 6 months. And if you ever want to call me, here's my number." 6 months later, I'd say, "Hi Val, it's Mac. I've got 3 years. Hi Val, it's Mac. I've got 3.5 years." Never once called back, but that was okay with me. That was so okay with me. Eventually, 6 years later, I mean, I'm like an old bulldog, you know? I don't let go of something. And she called. We took a long, long walk in the mountains. And suffice to say, we held hands, we cried, we hugged, we healed.
When we return, Sherman Hemsley goes up against the Jeffersons producers.
He said, "I don't want to be calling him Hockey."
Name calling, that wasn't me.
The supporting cast wants their piece of the pie.
We found out that the kids on Different Strokes were making more money than we were.
Plus, the truth behind Joni and Chachi's real-life romance.
My relationship with Erin, I guess, was just, it's a train wreck waiting to happen is really what that was.
All when the truth behind the sitcoms returns.
Thursday on Biography.
They're flicking the hair and the tongue and the wrists.
She reinvented herself.
She's the age she is and she could wear that.
Before Britney, before Madonna, there was only Cher.
Cher on Biography. Thursday at 9, only on Bio.
And now, a Bio It Happened This Week pop quiz. Who was the first space tourist? For the answer, plus other fascinating facts, go to It Happened This Week at bio.com/thisweek.
Well, hey, glad I caught you. I was on my way to present ideas about all the discounts we're offering. I've got some catchphrases that'll make these savings even more memorable.
All right. Good driver discounts. Now that's the stuff.
How about this?
They're the bee's knees.
Or this?
Sir, how about just 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance?
Yeah. Good luck with that catching on.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
So many arthritis pain relievers. I just want fewer pills and relief that last all day.
Take 2 extra strength Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours.
Taking 8 pills a day, and if I take it for 10 days, that's 80 pills.
Just 2 Aleve can last all day. Perfect.
Choose Aleve and you can be taking 4 times fewer pills than extra strength Tylenol. Just 2 Aleve have the strength to relieve arthritis pain all day.
There's a place called Hidden Valley where kids not only eat their vegetables, they can't get enough. Hidden Valley Ranch makes vegetables delectable. Discover 4 new ways to make vegetables delectable with Farmhouse Originals from Hidden Valley.
It's rollback time at Walmart. Now even Unfaded Glory, which has been completely re-engineered for quality with soft organic cotton, better fits, and lock-stitch seams. And because everyone deserves clothes guaranteed for quality, we've rolled back the price. Faded Glory, one of thousands of rollbacks at Walmart. Save money, live better. Walmart.
While there are some home disasters you can't avoid, there is one you can. Septic system breakdowns affect 1.2 million homes in the U.S. each year. Septic backups can cost about $6,000 in expense and countless hours of repair. Rid-X costs only $6, and the new advanced natural bacteria generate over twice as many enzymes, which accelerate the waste digestion. Use Rid-X once a month and help save yourself from disaster.
This program contains language which some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. The Jeffersons was a groundbreaking sitcom about a street-smart black man and his feisty wife who leave behind their working-class neighborhood for a luxury high-rise apartment on Manhattan's East Side. George Jefferson, played by